G'day, Aaron Boostock. A couple of guys have been asking about oil and oil system stuff on RB, so let's have a very quick overview. Some of you guys, this is just pointless, but some of you who's playing for the first time might pay to see this. So Nissan do quite well. There's two different oil pickup points. This is the 26 with the all-wheel drive, so they're closer to the front. The 30s and 25s, the rear-wheel drive stuff, is closer to the rear. You can see this gallery on the outside of the block comes up to the inlet on the oil pump, spins around from the crank, and it pressurizes out this port. Now if we come down the side here, again you can see this comes down, goes to the filter housing. All oil filters work on the premise that dirty oil's on the outside, clean oil on the inside, and it goes back down that into the block to the main galleries, etc. To clean the main galleries, we need to take this plug out. This plug exists because machines need to drill down through the block to make the gallery line clean and tidy. They don't just leave it cast, they actually gun drill it. There's one of these plugs on the front, there's one of them on the very back. To get them out, I drill a hole. I use my special trusty plug tool here. It's just a piece of 6mm rod, 1/4 inch or so for the Americans. I drill the hole just a whisker bigger, like 1/2 mil bigger. Put this down through the hole and punch the back one out. And then I turn the rod around and I grab this one, even though the hole's a little bit bigger, I try and drill it in the center, get on the corner of that plug, push it out forwards. That allows me to clean the whole journal inside. Now if you don't do that, what can happen, and what often happens, if you just give it a quick re-ring and re-bearing, the junk stuck in behind there with the new oil pump and clean solvents and everything else will loosen the junk, and it'll allow it to come through here, because that joins along here into this front bearing, and you can see where the hole is. That allows junk to get into this front bearing and junk the motor, and the very back bearing has the same problem. It's a very common problem. People go, I just refreshed my engine, now I've got bearing problem. Well, start looking here. This is the first place you start looking. If you haven't taken them out and cleaned it, you're probably going to have problems. Now, we have the same problem with the crankshafts. Nissan do, here's one I can look at. Nissan use this idea, and they put this plug in it. Some are alloy, some of this funny looking brass stuff. Most of the older ones are alloy sort of unit. Now here we've got a, this is an old Mopar crank. Just had a little blow up. But we can see here, look, my TIG wire goes from big end to main and goes through. You can see here the mud wasp has been in it, but it kind of highlights what happens on the Nissan crank, because if you don't drill that out, this kind of stuff, even though it's a mud wasp, but this carbonized product sits in this part of the plug and fills up inside the crankshaft. So that's why we grub screw them. And again, same as the block. If you don't grub screw that and clean all the junk out of there, and there's way more junk in the crank than there is in the block. If you don't grub screw this and take this junk out, this kind of stuff ends up in here, and of course on a fresh engine build, ends up in your bearing. Takes your bearing out, you have problems. Usually by the time you work it out, you're at peak RPM and it goes bang, or it goes rattle bang. This is why. Well, one reason why. So yeah, the Nissan don't do it like this beautiful Mopar does. This is a scat crank, but it highlights quite well how well this can be done. Nissan don't do it like that, unfortunately. So there's a few things that help you out. Things to look at. When you rebung these or grub screw them or whatever plan you want to use, just bear in mind that these holes are not very far under this plug. If you push this plug in too far or tap it in too far, you can cover this port and of course reduce the oil volume to the front and rear bearing. You'll have the same problem. Just a thing for rookies to look at. Hope it helps some of you guys out and keeps you out of mischief. Happy boosting, guys. See yous.